Good morning from Montreal, Quebec. My name is Alex, and I'm flying to Toronto with Air Canada Express. The Montreal to Toronto route is one of the busiest air routes in the country, with Air Canada alone flying over a dozen flights a day. The one I'm taking, though, is the earliest one in the day, leaving at the ungodly hour of 5:30 a.m. Considering it's one of Air Canada Express's Embraer 175s, though, which I haven't really done a proper video on yet, I think it's worth the early wake-up. This was a business class fare booked from Montreal to Calgary through Toronto on Aeroplan points, so I was hoping to take a look at Montreal's Maple Leaf Lounge offering. Unfortunately, this one in the domestic area was still closed, though it's supposedly open from 4:30 a.m. onwards. Not that big a deal since I knew I'd be getting breakfast on board, but I'm still curious to see what a Maple Leaf Lounge looks like in AC's home city. Regardless, our plane for today is this then 15-year-old Embraer 175, registered as Charlie Foxtrot Yankee Golf. This E175 was first delivered to mainline Air Canada in 2006 and was operated by Sky Regional from 2013 onwards. After the Canadian federal government's objective failure to adequately support airlines throughout 2020 and 2021, Sky Regional sadly folded after Air Canada consolidated all of their regional operations into Jazz. Jazz now operates all 25 of the Embraer 175s in the Air Canada Express fleet. Part of the reason for picking this 5:30 a.m. flight was that my flight to Calgary was departing Toronto at around 8 a.m. So having a 30-minute delay for crew scheduling, according to Air Canada, was not ideal, but I did appreciate the update as to why. So let's go see what Air Canada Express has to offer on their Embraer 175. Air Canada's E175 business class has 12 seats in a 1-2 configuration, and my seat for this short hop to Toronto is 3A on the single seat side. These are still the older style of Air Canada seats, but the legroom here for this regional flight is perfectly fine. You'll find a water bottle waiting at every seat, and 3A also has this pretty nice wing view. Each seat has an adjustable headrest and the usual reading lights and air vents. It's also worth mentioning that in business, the overhead bins are only really usable on the 2-seat side, since there's not enough space above the single seats. This is a pretty short flight anyway, so I'll show you a bit more of the seat after takeoff. Here's us making a beautiful sunrise departure off of runway 24 left.
Votre siège et rangez votre tablette.
In preparation for takeoff, make sure you're comfortably seated with your seat back upright and tray table stowed.
As for the rest of the seat, in this very reasonably sized seat back pocket is an air sickness bag and a freshly reprinted safety card. For these business class seats, the tray tables are found in the armrests and fold out across the seat. They can slide as well, though it feels like you're playing a dangerous game with that cup holder there. As usual, there's also the clean care kit that was handed out during boarding, which includes an extra mask, wipes, and hand sanitizer. With this older interior, these planes also have Air Canada's legacy in-flight entertainment system, which does require some patience. However, it's worth pointing out that these ones on the Embraer are slightly faster to load than their counterparts on the Airbus fleet. That's not to mention the fact that having in-flight entertainment on a 76-seat airplane in the first place is quite impressive. You'll find a USB charging port right next to the screen, and the headphone jack is on the inside of the armrest. Eventually, breakfast arrived, and on this tray was Air Canada's classic warm omelette with potatoes, a sausage, a croissant, and bowl of fruit, complete with jam, butter, and some yogurt. This also came with the usual metal cutlery wrapped in a very nice napkin. Later, drinks were also handed out, and I went for the usual Coke, which came in this very nice glass with a frosted rondelle on it. Also, with that cup holder on the left side of the seat, I'm not totally sure I trust it with an open glass during any sort of turbulence. One thing I'll say is, if business is full, I could imagine this flight being a pretty tricky one for the cabin crew. If there's only one cabin crew member serving 12 business meals on a barely 55-minute flight, that's not a whole lot of time at cruise. For this flight though, business had quite a few open seats, so there was likely less of a time crunch. Even so, kudos to you cabin crew for having to serve stuff like this on these super short flights. With Air Canada Express, the cabin configuration of these E175s is identical to the CRJ900s, 12 business class seats up front and 64 economy seats in the back, for a total of 76 passengers. I last flew one of these E175s back in 2017 from Toronto to Washington in economy, so they're not a common type for me personally. These are exclusively flown out of Eastern Canada, and to my knowledge, I don't think they go any further west than Saskatchewan. I'm not totally sure if that's for contract reasons or something to do with performance over the Rockies. One thing I have heard though is that American business travelers tend to prefer these planes over the CRJs or Dash 8s, and so you'll often see these on business-heavy transborder routes, like Toronto to New York. If anyone knows the real reason, do let me know down below. I'd love to know why the West doesn't get much love from these planes, cause, let's face it, they are much easier to stand up in. Pretty quickly, our trays were cleared and we were descending over the GTA. Here's a stunning morning arrival onto Pearson's runway 24 right. Well, that was business class on Air Canada Express's Embraer 175. I really like flying on these planes, and with AC's usual excellent business class service, this was just a great flight. I would have liked to try out the lounge in Montreal while I was there, but that just leaves something new to try for next time. Again, I'd love to see more of these planes out west, but if they're destined to stay exclusive to Eastern Canada, that makes them more of a novelty for us Westerners. So I will happily fly another one of AC's Embraer 175s in the future, and if you get the chance to try one of these in business on maybe a longer flight than this, I say it's worth a shot.
Cabin crew, please prepare doors for arrival.
Thank you very much for watching this look at the Air Canada Express Embraer 175, and I'll catch you next time.